Japan, but we have an interesting deal with Japan that we have to protect them, but they don't have to protect us. You know that? That's the way the deal reads. We have to protect Japan. And by the way, they make a fortune with us economically. There's another case. But we have to protect Japan, but under no circumstances do they have to protect us. I actually ask, who makes these deals? Japan, but we...
Now, what I find absolutely fascinating, just looking on Twitter and checking the polls from the people there, because a lot of them are MAGA supporters, is that when Trump goes hard against Canada, and some would even argue unfairly and a little bit unprovoked, is that like 2 years ago, almost no American that I've seen was proposing for the United States to go hard economically against Canada. And even today, a couple of Americans are still bewildered by this. It's like, well, why can't we just talk with them? Why can't we just negotiate with them? Why do we have to make their prime minister cry on TV over tariffs? And the answer is because Trump bought this ideology, right? Like he came in and he said, no, like Canada is treating us unfairly. We're going to tariff them. We're going to punish them economically. And you go on Twitter and you see his base and they're like, based. Now, I usually don't talk about this issue because, it's something that doesn't really concern me. I'm not Canadian. I'm not American. I mostly talk about issues that affect me from Europe. I don't know if people notice that. But like most of the issues are either cultural that can be imported here, which bother me, or issues of foreign policy that affect me. Like these are the things that I like to comment on. Stuff like American healthcare, American relationship with Canada, it's not something that really affects me, so I don't think that I should talk about it too much. But I do observe it, I do notice that it's happening, and I am interested to see how people are reacting to this. And so, again, when Trump talks shit about Canada, you go on Twitter and people are like, based. But when he talks just a little bit of shit about Japan, again, you go on Twitter with his MAGA base, and almost all of them are like, oh, chotomate, Trump-sama, kore wa Japanu desu, kore wa Japan. And so I found this to be fascinating, and I think the reason for it is Japan's soft power, which is anime. And if you think about it, this is the reason that a lot of Eastern Europeans like myself love the United States. It's not necessarily due to America's policies or, like geopolitics, because like you don't learn that in high school, right? It was mostly because of American TV shows, Walt Disney, American movies, the soft power that America was creating. Like everything that Romanians consumed, whether it was music, whether it was any kind of entertainment, whether it was video games, it came from the United States. And so a lot of people just automatically love the US. That's called soft power. That's like when you set the culture. And it's unfortunate that America definitely committed cultural suicide. Like you genuinely took what was working, which was creating entertainment that has tits and violence, because that's pretty much what you got from the 90s all the way to 2014. Like all the American TV show, just massive tits, thunderous thighs, and loads of violence. Like American slasher films, American heavy metal, like all of that was this. And they decided to take the circus and make it gay and make the women to look like men with wigs. Even now, America are, a little bit more okay with the violence, but they're extremely, I would say, anti-sex in entertainment. And so the problem that I have with this is that when you cause a void in the market, you're not causing it by convincing the people of not consuming it. You're trying to cause it by convincing the source not to produce it. And so the people still crave it, the people still need it, and they take it from elsewhere. In this case, they're taking it from China. And so, again, to me, it is very concerning because seeing how Trump's base is actually okay with going along when Trump challenges one of America's longtime partner and friend, which is Canada. and they're just taking all of Trump's talking points and they're persuaded, well, actually, Canada is not a friend. Actually, Canada is bad to us. And everyone goes like, hey, you know what? He's right. It's like this 180 shift. But when he talks about Japan, immediately you see a shift. Immediately you see people, no, well, Korewa, chotomate, you know? And I find that to be really interesting. And in the future, if China takes over entertainment, right, and they already have with a lot of gacha games, they're like, okay, America is afraid of the titty. Well, let's give them the titty. Give them the titty. Push the titty. Gacha game. And Melody Mac is concerned. And it's like, right? But like the public is now going to play Chinese games and watch Chinese entertainment. And just like now they're reacting towards Japan, in the future, my kids are going to grow with Chinese video games. They already dominate the Steam charts. And so my kids are going to play Chinese games, and when a politician imposes some tariff over China, they're going to be like, I don't know the equivalent of Korewa in Chinese, right? But they're going to be like, hold on a little bit. Why are you against China? My desk is from China. My computer is from China. My shirt is from China. And I play video games from China. China are good people. What the fuck is wrong with you, right? Like, it is an actual danger because America has decided to destroy its soft power. Like, they destroyed Walt Disney, they destroyed the video gaming industry, they're destroying everything that they're producing, and they're creating stuff that people aren't interested in, right? Like, their morals and their values, since feminism all the way up until now, isn't reflective in what the market wants. And even worse, like, the moral busybodies that try to set the values aren't interested in seeing what the market wants. They're interested in, like, producing the stuff that they want to produce, which, unfortunately, no one wants to buy. And so, like, that's an observation. Right? Which is why I'm really interested in how people reacted to this particular statement. Now, let's analyze the statement a little bit. I don't think Trump doesn't know why Japan is the way Japan is. I don't think he doesn't understand the history or even the culture within Japan. You see, after World War II, Japan was defeated. And so the United States invested a lot of money in reconstructing Japan. And so the United States has a long-term history of at least trying to defend its investments. Like, they don't invest somewhere and then allow that nation to go communist and then, you know, have a rogue government that's against the U.S. interests. Or they invest in a nation and then they allow it to be conquered by communists. And this is why the United States is defending Japan. It's their investment, basically. And if you look at the Japanese constitution, it's not allowed to have an army. Now they're trying to go around it. See, it's not an aircraft carrier. It's actually a helicopter carrier. Well, they can actually have some force, but they can only use it for defense if it threatens Japan's existence. You know, so like they're basically trying for a couple of decades to wiggle around the constitution that was imposed on them after World War II. But they physically cannot have an army, right? And they have neighbors that are a little bit problematic, like China, for instance. North Korea is also there, a little bit further away, but still. And this is why the United States is protecting Japan. Now, if the United States wants to stop playing world police and retreat, I mean, Japan would be more than happy. Holy fucking shit, like, if you talk with Japanese people, oh my god, the politician that would be able to make a deal with the United States to allow the Japan to build its own army, that politician would probably win massively, despite the type of culture that is in Japan, where, you know, their politicians are more career-oriented and they've been there for ages. Immediately, Japan would militarize. Oh my fucking god. Like it would probably build a military that would rival most European powers, probably even more. And so, if Trump doesn't like it, you know, like, if it's like, oh, well, why are we protecting Japan and Japan doesn't protect us? Like, any Japanese politician would be, you know what? Just let us do our thing. Just unleash us. Just like, take the leash off of us, and we will build an army capable of rivaling most naval nations. Now, the interesting thing is, like, Japan would defend the U.S. I think it would. I genuinely think it would. Depending on the conflict, though. Like, if you're going to war with Canada, hypothetically speaking, because at this point, I don't fucking know. Yeah, they probably won't get involved. right? Like, they probably won't help you, or maybe they will, but like under the table, you know, like they may give you some technology, they may help you in that regard. But like, no, they're not going to help you in a war against Canada, right? Or usually they won't help you against shit you started. A war with Russia? Probably not, right? Like, probably not. A war with China? 100%. No, like 100%. The Japanese people, they have like this magazine that they release yearly, which is basically in regards to Japanese external politics and trying to recruit people for the military. And you can see on this edition that it's usually like a picture with the father of a child or something harmless. But the only time they released a fucking samurai warrior as pretty much like a threat was when China started posturing with Taiwan. And they were like, no, this threatens Japan's existence, which is like the only reason that they can use their own military. Like, they're very hawkish, especially regarding China invading Taiwan, right? Because from the Japanese perspective, it's like, well, if they get that, then they can attack our islands, they can threaten our sovereignty in the sea. And so, like, yeah, if there was ever a conflict between the United States and China, I do think that Japan would love to participate. And take into account that this conflict would take place on the sea, mostly. And so, like, Japan would definitely contribute with a lot of ships. They would start building ships. They would start building a naval power. And they would help the United States, yeah, for sure. South Korea would probably do the same. From what I noticed, the United States, you know, they're really good at producing weapons and stuff, but they don't really produce ships as they used to. You know, they still produce ships, but not at the level they used to, and definitely not at the level that China is getting ready to produce it. And so, in a conflict with China, yeah, they would probably need the European naval bases to produce from there. They would probably also need the naval bases from Asia, right? Because you need to refuel if you're going to have a prolonged conflict. You need to have a place to port, and you need to build more ships. So, I think Trump is aware of this. And the question is, like, why is he making this political statement? Because, like, you know, like, he is trying to distract from something else? Like, there's something else going on and he doesn't want people to notice, so he's, like, talking about Japan. Maybe he just wants to see how his base will react if he talks about Japan. Or maybe, you know, he genuinely wants Japan to start having its own military and more autonomy in the region. Like, maybe this is his plan, you know, to enforce nations to start defending themselves and America to pull further away. I don't know. It's just bizarre, to be honest. There is a thing that politicians have, which is called political capital, right? Basically, it's the idea that you can get away with some shit, but it's not infinite. Like, no matter the type of politician you are, you can get rid with some you can get away with some statements. You can manage to find some wiggle room, persuade people of things that they wouldn't have held without you. You know, like, for instance, the Canadian thing. Like, without Trump, no American that I have heard has ever talked shit about Canada, right? So, like, Trump managed to do it. But the concept is that the political capital is based on your popularity. And every time you make one of these turnarounds, every time you make something that's a controversial statement, you just eat a little bit away of your political capital. And so, you know, when you make a statement like this, it just chips away from your political capital. So this is why, like, leaders are very careful with the statement that they're making. And I don't think that he just made it off the cuff. I think that there is a purpose to it. I can only hypothesize as to why it is, but it's interesting to see how his base reacted to it. So anyway, let me know what you think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.